Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.
Hello, my friends. It is Wednesday, the 17th of December, 2025, which of course means it is time for episode 77 of Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. There are 8 days until Christmas. I hesitated there because I figured you don't really want to hear that. You want to hear how many days there are till Christmas about as much as you want to hear people come up to you in the street, in Sobeys, in the coffee shop and saying, ready for Christmas, ready for Christmas. What is the answer to that? My wife says I need to chill out on that question and just start answering yes, even though I'm not. Apparently that shuts it down. I don't think it does. I think it prolongs it. Are you ready for Christmas? I don't know what the answer to the question is. Possibly the same answer as, is it hot enough for you? Is it cold enough for you? These inane questions. I've decided that what I would like to start doing, which I'm not going to do due to the unfortunate fact of not being a dick, is I want to start just responding to people and going, you can do better than that. You can definitely do better than that. Like you've had the confidence to come up to a complete stranger and say something. I think you can do better than you. Ready for Christmas? And do they really want a breakdown, blow by blow account of what you've wrapped and what you haven't wrapped and whether you've got the decorations up? Although I will say this, funny fact, it's interesting how early all the Christmas decorations kind of obviously hit the stands in shops, but also how quickly they sell. I am a big fan, as I'm sure you are, of those miniature worlds, the Lemax miniature worlds, where it's like a little Santa's toy factory and you plug it in and it goes around and sometimes plays the music, but sometimes doesn't because more often than not, certainly in the case of the ones that I've bought, they don't actually work. Rather they make a humming sound and not a song, but maybe that's less irritating than if there was some kind of blaring song coming out of the world's cheapest speakers. I don't know. But I love those little things. And I remember in Michael's, them having hundreds and hundreds of them. And of course, they're not cheap. They're like a lot of things. I mean, you guys see these weird plug-in things. You go into Costco, see these plug-in Mickey Mouse with a Santa hat on, ugly piece of plastic garbage that you can see in a yard sale. It's like $120 flying off the shelves. But these Lemax things are quite beautiful, in my opinion. And so I went, it's millions of them in Michael's, and I thought, oh, I'll wait, I'll see if they get reduced. I'll see, see if I have a windfall. That's how I do my spending. Is I basically think, I wait to see if I earn something and then go, oh, well, now I'll go and buy it. Anyway, my point is that Michael's had hundreds of these things, these beautiful little Lemax worlds, including a British pub that I like the look of, and me and River were trying to decide which one we were going to buy. Anyway, they are now all gone. There's a beautiful, what is it? Reeds, Trees and Wreaths. A beautiful little world it was. I'm looking at the Michael's catalogue, the 2025 Lemax Michael's catalogue. Do Michael's have the exclusivity on Lemax things? I don't know. I used to get them from Kent. Anyway, sorry, this is a real ramble already. There's lots to cover this week, including, my wife got back safely from London. I did indeed, as I promised I would, met her at the airport last Tuesday night with the sign made by River saying, welcome home from jail. Since then, you name it, stuffed thousands of magazines. The magazines finally arrived. I don't know if you remember last week I was complaining that Midland had essentially been delayed / lost. Apparently, everything takes longer. Apparently, this is a busy time of year. I love it when people use that excuse. I've had multiple shows go on sale. I've done multiple shows. I've watched everything from the Polar Express 3D. I've seen 2 absolutely world-class shows. On Sunday, I went to see the Nutcracker at the Imperial Theatre, put on by the Rothesay Ballet School. Absolutely. I've been wanting to go every year. I know for a lot of people it's an annual tradition. I've been wanting to go for many, many years. Never got around to going. Was hoping I could take my whole family. Couldn't convince anyone to come for various reasons, some of which was due to sickness, because unlike everyone else that seems to be in every cinema theatre I'm in now, some families, when you're coughing up a lung and sound like you're on death's door, coughing, choking, spluttering, sneezing, some of us actually stay home. Apparently, no one else seems to. The amount of poisonous germs that I've had blasted onto me over the past week at events. Anyway, I guess if you buy tickets for a show and you got to go, I'm not judging. I'm not disparaging these people. I'm just saying that, my goodness, it was pretty gross having a child coughing over my head for the entire show. Yesterday, when I say yesterday, I am recording this on Tuesday. You don't care, whatever. Tomorrow morning, i.e. Wednesday morning, i.e. when you're listening to this, i.e. the 17th, the date that I pretended it was now, I'm going to be out with my friend David Gameforth filming some commercials for my friends at Ganong, which brings me back. I haven't got there yet, 5 minutes in. I said to myself, I'm going to start this episode right off the bat by doing the sponsor reads straight off like a profesh. Anyway, point being, yesterday, Monday, or 2 days ago, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, or you do the maths, I went to see the St. John Youth Orchestra Christmas concert at the Samuel de Champlain Theatre on Monday night. Absolutely phenomenal, mind-blowing. Hats off to my friend Skylar Brigley, who did a violin solo. Anyway, we'll get to that. Amazing sing an orchestra of 60, 70 children on stage playing Star Wars and Sleigh Ride. Truly magical. I will get to it. Oh, I guess where I was going with this was that on Monday, so there were no... The Lemax models, Michael's basically had like 4 left at full price. So again, not doing that when you can't do that if they're not on a special. And I was in Moncton yesterday for the day for some meetings and other reasons. And other reasons sounds very dodgy. It was nothing dodgy. I was not there in any way, shape or form for any type of sex club, if that's how it sounded. Maybe it didn't sound like that. Maybe I made it weird by saying that. Michael's, there was a lot more. It was interesting how packed the mall was in Moncton on a Monday. I know it's Christmas coming up, but I guess people travel from all over. Okay, this is a bit intense. My brain has been all over the shop lately. Has yours been like? My brain's been all over the place. Somewhat stressing about the 15 different jobs I have. Between obviously. Getting the last magazine out the door, working on the next one, meeting deadlines for that, commissioning stories, dealing with, and of course outside of this, you got all the intricacies and people relationships of dealing with people, contributors, colleagues. Putting a ton of shows on sale for next year, including my Imperial Theatre Christmas extravaganza, exactly a year to the day away. Again, and of course I've got so much big plans for this to make it such a kind of an Andre Rieu-esque extravaganza, like the ultimate Christmas comedy concert. That I'm already. Last night I was having nightmares about the show. It's a year away. It's a year and a day away, and I'm already panicking. I mean, this is ridiculous. Juggling a lot. Dealing with a lot, feeling slightly overwhelmed, if I'm completely honest with you. ADHD brain flying in 1,000 different directions, trying to not panic, trying not to end up in a meltdown, occasionally finding the benefits of hyper-focus, but also it's very difficult to hyper-focus on one thing when you do actually have millions of things on the go. I mean, again, if I had a team, or advisors, or anyone looking out for me, they would say, it's probably not wise to be, mapping out an entire tour of next year, while also in the throes of Christmas corporate gig season and doing other ticketed shows as well, because you couldn't resist adding more shows, plus also not finishing just one book, but 3 books, all of which are due for publication next year. Anyway, and also, obviously, there's Christmas, and there's children, and there's family, and are you giving your children the best possible Christmas? And are you being a good parent? And are your children going to blame you for everything that goes wrong with them later in life? That's the weird thing when you watch these documentaries on TV and you're seeing, or read books, and everyone's blaming their parents for everything, and you think, what are the things that I do that my kids are going to blame me for in years to come? And you're worrying about all of that, and then the worst things in the world happen, and I'm talking about the terrible tragedy on Bondi Beach this week, and again, I mean, it's just and again, obviously, on the same day, what happened to Rob Reiner? Well, there you go. I mean, talking about parenting, like what Rob Reiner creates some of the greatest pieces of art ever known. Emotionally moves and touches millions and millions of people all over the world. and obviously does you do your best raising your children, and then your children stab you to death? I mean, how do you even reconcile that? How do we go into Christmas in a positive? But I know this is a comedy podcast, and don't worry, we will get. But it's very weird, isn't it, in life, trying to work out. Isn't this the number one thing in life? Trying to work out what you should be losing sleep over and what you shouldn't. Because I mean, I don't know if it's an ADHD thing, but my brain often, generally, quite frequently, veers towards the negative and things to worry about, and again, then you need to do that. When you're organising things, you need to be thinking worst case scenario. How can I prevent bad things from happening? Which again, so. Let us move forward. We'll go through what I've been up to, and let's just say, put it behind. Let's say a prayer and send love and thoughts for all of those people, everyone, and for everyone that is holding up. Many of you will know the infamous Jim Jeffries stand-up routine about gun control in America, and he made the point in the routine that. Australia had a mass shooting a few decades ago, banned automatic weapons, and hasn't had one since. And now, of course, the right wing are now holding up this routine as being an example of how he got it wrong, which is completely absurd. Because, of course, I mean, thank goodness those people. I mean, it's ludicrous that they had 6 weapons legally, but thank goodness they didn't have automatic weapons. Just think how awful that could have been. Sorry, I know this is Debbie Downer stuff, but it's the reality of the world. And so we are going to. Okay, if you want to, I found something in Indigo at the weekend, which I did not know still existed. Tim Andrews will know this. My Aunt Teresa will know this. Viz magazine. Viz, when I was growing up, was it's an adult comic book. Many of you will know. It's where there would be sketches, comic strips, for example, the Fat Slags and Roger Melly, the Man on the Telly. I'm looking at it now. There's ads in here for their T-shirts. A Pint and a Fight, A Great British Night Out, Global Warming, Economic Crisis, Knife Crime, Terrorism, Forget It All with The Drink. It's basically as hilarious as I remember it being when I was a kid. It is absolutely. I can't read out some of these. I can't read out some of these letters because they are, frankly, too filthy. If dolphins are so clever, why do they want to swim with tourists who usually look like they've just rolled out of the Wetherspoons in Bedford? Again, that will only be appreciated by British listeners. Anyway, Viz magazine, didn't know it still existed, found it in Indigo St. John. Absolutely hilarious. And to be honest, if you want to forget the world or put the world to one side and just want to laugh like a drain at filthy comedy, Viz magazine is the one for you. What's the computer doing? Is it still recording? Yes, it is. Okay. Moving on. Let's do the sponsor reads. Oh, there we are, 13 minutes in, nothing like that. I'm talking fast as always. I feel like this is a week that I really should be on the meds. I think it's been about a year since I took any ADHD meds. I think I need to, we'll see. Sometimes all of this madness helps me get millions and millions of different things done, as shown by the fact that I would say I must have got about 14 shows on sale for next year. This is one thing that I'm trying to remind myself every time I'm stressing out about life, work, play. I think I already have too many shows booked in 2026. Like, that is ridiculous. So I need to take my wife's advice and not book anymore or keep saying yes to everything. With that in mind, thankfully, given how many shows I have in Halifax, I will be able to get to Halifax a lot easier and be able to sleep on my way there, thanks to my friends at Seamless Link. Do you like that? Thanks to my friends at St. John Airport and Pascan Aviation. Because that's right, this episode is proudly supported by my friends and yours at St. John Airport and Pascan Aviation, making it easier than ever to get your kids home for the holidays without the epic winter road trip. Equally, easier for you to get to Halifax or from Halifax to St. John for shopping trips, for hangouts, for Christmas fun. But if your student is in Halifax or Montreal, you don't need to spend 12 white-knuckled hours on icy highways anymore. You can simply fly them straight home to St. John and swap windshield wipers and gas receipts for hugs and home-cooked meals. That's right. Flights are quick, affordable, and frankly, a lot more joyful than December driving in Atlantic Canada. This holiday season, bring them home by plane, not by prayer, with Pascan and St. John Airport. And I must emphasize to please seek out the promo prices on the website, because they do get all booked up and there are a lot of promo offers. Not that you need them, because the prices are so incredibly reasonable as it is. I will be headed to Halifax multiple times next month, thanks to Pascan Aviation. This episode is also proudly supported by one of Canada's great chocolate icons, loved across the country and around the world, Ganong chocolatier. We Canadians are fiercely loyal when it comes to homegrown brands, and for very good reason. Not least because they are actually amazing. This is not pride based on nothing. This is pride based on genuine world-class nifs. And sure enough, Ganong has been crafting world-class chocolate right here in New Brunswick since 1873. That is over 150 years of sweet perfection. And their new sea-salted caramels and peanut butter caramel clusters are genuinely next level. Have you tried them yet? Please tell me you've tried them. The beautiful, the white bags with different colouring on them. The sea salted caramels have green on them. You go to Superstore, Walmart, you name it, they're all there. Sea salted caramels and peanut butter caramel clusters. The bags are like $5, $6, $7. You share them with like 5 people. They're genuinely next level. I wouldn't say it otherwise. I've always made that pact to you all, dear Managers Weekly Ramble listeners, that anything I am telling you to do or get is legitimately amazing. Sea salted caramels and peanut butter caramel clusters. I've been handing them around in and around across the country, to be honest, at hockey rinks and shows. The reactions have been priceless. I will be posting more of these. You can see me handing them out to people at shows in Summerland, BC. It's just smiles, hugs, joy every time. So if you want a treat that tastes incredible and supports an iconic local company at the same time, do yourself a favour and pick up a bag of Ganong today. So let me go through... Okay, I'll start with the holiday concert, the St. John Youth Orchestra's holiday concert. So basically, Skylar Brigley Byers, he performed a solo in the first movement of the Bruch Violin Concerto No. 1. It was absolutely out of this world. The other performances were, they opened the show with The Barber of Seville, which was Rossini's epic masterpiece. The Star Wars moment was next level. The Christmas songs, the sleigh ride, it was a perfect show. I went with my son River. It was at the gorgeous Samuel de Champlain Theatre, which is actually my first time in there. I'd heard great things. It's absolutely gorgeous in there, and it was. I'm sure you all know about the amazing work that between the New Brunswick Youth Orchestra, Sistema, and the St. John Youth Orchestra. These children, it's just phenomenal sitting there watching these magnificent talents. A massive hats off to Maestro Dr. Cesar Suarez, who I've been lucky enough to perform multiple shows with, and also John Fisher, who has been working with these incredible musicians for 9 years. The work that they do, I was genuinely in awe, and my jaw is on the ground. Going, how are children as young as this performing music this magnificently? Same point goes for the Nutcracker at the Imperial Theatre. So it was Rothesay Ballet School and Gala Ballet Productions. They did performances on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. I didn't realise actually until arriving and reading the programme that the show, the Nutcracker, which is an annual tradition at the Imperial, 50 years of dance, it says on the cover. I assume that means the Rothesay Ballet School has been going for 50 years. they hire like professional, world-renowned performers to perform alongside the children. So they had Anya and Graham from Le Grand Ballet in Montreal, Parker Rice and Liam Keynes from Royal Winnipeg Ballet, and then 40, 50 children of varying ages delivering truly phenomenal performances. I was blown away. As you know, I'm a huge fan of ballet. I'm a huge fan. I've been to many Atlantic Ballet of Canada shows. This is my first time seeing a Rothesay Ballet School production. I was legitimately, like I say, blown away. I need to learn more about what they do, how they do it, the months of planning. The stage set was out of this world. Again, it got me feeling very inspired for the show that I'm panicking about that's a year from now, which again, I need to, in this show, incorporate, obviously. Orchestras and ballet, but like they had snow coming down, the set changes, the costume changes, all of the parents. Actually, I was so this is what I was started to say was that I couldn't. My wife was busy, my kids were sick, so I decided to go solo. I've been meaning to go every year. They couldn't go, so I was lucky enough to get a seat in the second row because there was one single seat. I was sat next to a lovely lady by the name of Melissa. It was very nice to meet you, Melissa. She said the last time she was in the theatre, she was there to see me. So it was very nice to meet you, my friend. I was a few seats down from Christine Roy, who is the renowned principal of the King Edward School. I should look that up. Anyway, Christine, her daughter was in the show. She's one of the most respected principals in the country. And King John the Baptist. My brain. I should come prepared to this. Okay. It was lovely to see Christine and her daughter, along with everyone else, put on phenomenal performances. And quite frankly, I can't understand the commitment. I can't get my head around how much work, rehearsals, practice it must have taken to pull this off. So hats off to everyone. On Saturday, we did go and see the Polar Express in 3D at the cinema. Again, thanks to Julie and everyone at Cineplex. It's $2.99 or $3.99 to see the Polar Express. And, well, weirdly enough, we were like, oh, my kids were like, oh, we don't want to go and see it. We've seen it before. We get there. We realized we actually hadn't seen it before. We possibly had it on DVD in the house before, like playing in the background. It's like an acid trip. Absolutely bizarre. Not at all what I expected, and watching it in 3D was incredible. But Polar Express was not what I was expecting, plot wise. The animation is very weird, if I may say that. Like the way that the kids all supposed to be slightly off. I don't know. It was very nice to bump into Josh Kotzabaskis, the fantastic comedian, his dad Dino, and indeed Josh's son. They were there too. And then that night, actually, as a family, we all sat and watched Man vs. Baby, Rowan Atkinson's latest. Basically, he's basically Mr. Bean / Johnny English. I mean, what an absolute comic master he is. I don't think it was as funny as Man vs. Bee. Weird that it was like a 4-episode thing, each of like 25 minutes each. So it's basically a movie, but they've broken it up into 4 episodes, which interesting. I don't know how or why Netflix makes these decisions. Not my place to. And then also actually that night, my son had hockey. It was a great game. But started watching the new Taylor Swift documentary on Disney Plus, The End of an Era, which is the documentary about the Eras tour and how she put it together. And my goodness, I mean, it's funny. Like when you do what most of us do, which if you listen, is most of you in some respects are organizing things. I mean, just to see, like, you can't understand why anyone would ever hate on Taylor Swift, and clearly just the work, the vision, the having this team of people for whom it's like, okay, how do we create the biggest, best tour of all time, which by all accounts it was and is. Yes, the magazine. Like I say, the magazines did finally arrive last week, so I spent a day and a half at Talek at the airport, stuffing thousands and thousands of envelopes. Oh, and yeah, I mean, so the magazine in theory is on newsstands now. As subscribers should all have your copies. I'll quickly run through what's in the mag, and a bit later we will get round to some more Golden Globes and Oh, there's a Christmas movie. Oh, what fun! Did anyone see that? And the George Clooney movie, J. Kelly. That's coming up. That's all coming up this week on Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. Isn't that? Do I need to do things like that? Tell you what's coming up. I'll also be talking about the Jeremy King, but I also have some jokes to test out on you. Let's do your questions first. I have some beautiful questions here from you. Nathan Dimitrov, a Christmas tradition from when you were a kid in the UK that doesn't exist here. I would say a binge drinking publicly would be the thing, Nathan. In England, I've talked about this before. It's interesting how, just everyone down the local boozer having a big old knees up, zero judgment, no small town like, oh, did you see how drunk so-and-so was? None of that back in the UK. Everyone just getting absolutely shittered, if that counts as a Christmas tradition. And I mentioned this last week, but it's the TV, like the British TV, the national broadcasters, BBC, and indeed all the others, they make an effort to make the day's scheduling very, very special. The closest thing we seem to have here is the NFL, the NFL on Netflix. Yes, there's lots of Christmas specials, lots of Christmas repeats. But anyway, I will be watching things like Only Fools and Horses and The Royal Family. That is the Royle family. The Queen's Speech. One tradition I missed from growing up was, my dad insisting that people stand up and I think salute while the Queen's speaking. When those in the room that have been started drinking 11 a.m. less able to kind of get up in time for that. That was always fun. But I mean, to be honest, I miss being around my parents, obviously. And you do Zoom and things like that. But maybe we'll have a Christmas together again soon. But those would be the Christmas traditions. But yeah, like big old knees ups, the British TV. But then all of that said, in England we used to wish for a white Christmas and beautiful snow. I mean, so I wouldn't change any of this. I'm not missing being there. I just Okay, Jay McDonald, thank you very much. Who really did put the bop in the beep she bop she bop? I've been trying to shake his hand for years, but I can't find him. Who really did put the bop in the bop she bop she bop? I've been trying to shake his hand for years, but I just can't find him. Excellent question. Anyone can answer that question, please let me know. I can normally decipher when people are messing with me. Chad Duplessis, hope you're well. Top 5 things to do in a river, on a river, at the river, just general river activities people should do. Well, kayaking on the river, having a glass of wine and a picnic on the river, swimming in the river, ideally not peeing in the river. Obviously, if you're lucky enough to have a boat, I mean, boating on the river, very good. But, my boat is a kayak. It all involves kayaking. Kayaking over to Long Island, happiest I get in life. And my son River, whose sport of choice is kayaking and competitive kayaking, is counting down the days to be able to get back out on the river, and I cannot wait to be back at Lake Paducah in Dartmouth for the big regatta again. Clayton Carr, how do I embrace our Maritimes winters? And Clayton has posted a beautiful picture of a lighthouse and the snow. I mean, I don't know how much I do embrace the winter. I mean, I tried snowshoeing. It made absolutely no sense to me to be putting on these ridiculous, massive, great clown shoes to just make walking even harder. I think I'd rather walk barefoot than wear snowshoes. I tell you one way in which I do is those things called weirdly names. They're called crampons, which just sounds like a tampon for older people. I don't know. No, older people don't use no, it's none of my business. Crampons, it's a weird name, but those metal things that you put on your feet so you can actually walk through trails. So basically walking through Hillside Trail in Rothesay, and indeed walking around Rockwood Park with those metal things on so you can walk on ice. You kind of feel like a bit of a superhero because you feel like you're kind of the fact that you can run and run around on ice with these things makes you feel. So that would be my number one thing trying to get out as possible, get wrapped up. It is stupid, these people, I was one of them, who move here and then complain about the weather and don't get the right clothing. I mean, I was that idiot that you saw walking around wearing like deck shoes and chinos, wearing a summer jacket. You need to have the industrial strength. I'm going to the Antarctic, gloves, hat. Very annoying how ripped off you often get with that stuff. Like you sometimes see it in Costco where it says how this will keep you warm even when you're swimming in a frozen lake. There you go, Jeff. Swimming in a frozen. Oh, skating on the ice. I would love to do. Sorry, Chad asked that question. I would love to skate on the ice if only I knew how to skate. People keep saying you can learn. It's interesting. There's just some things I just can't do. Oh my goodness, things are really Trailer Park. The whole Mike Smith, Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys situation. It appeals that interesting that there was a lot happening with Trailer Park Boys, with deals and so forth, which has obviously now presumably been paused. I filmed a sitcom for them last year that was supposed to go out last year. I haven't seen sign of it anywhere. But we did get paid, to be fair. So if they stick it in the bin, that is their prerogative. Okay, before we're halfway through, so I'm just going to very, very quickly remind you that this episode is proudly supported by my friends at St. John Airport and Pascan Aviation, reconnecting the region to Halifax, Montreal, numerous other connecting flights. Crucially, spectacularly affordable, convenient, great service, great crew, beautiful planes with a bathroom on them. This episode is also supported by another amazing, trustworthy brand that you can also get at beautiful St. John Airport. That's right, it is supported by Canada's most beloved and internationally celebrated chocolate maker, Ganong Chocolatier, and I do hope from the bottom of my heart that you will this Christmas seek out the sea salted caramels and peanut butter caramel clusters. They are very visible. Walmart seems to be the place that everyone agrees has the most affordable foods right now. So why not hit up Walmart? Okay, so the magazine, as I say, the thousands of copies finally arrived. I stuffed all the envelopes. Hopefully you've received yours. Hopefully you like it. It's our very first sport and wellness issue. Our next issue is our annual Celebrating Women issue. The cover story is the Sale Grand Prix that is returning to Halifax in 2026. Would you like me to read through what's in the mag? Well, you can't answer, but I hope so. Thandaway McCarthy, our incredible culture correspondent, interviews Joel McPherson on the Kingston Peninsula. Joel is an absolute hero, truly an inspiration, who is really at one with nature. He grew up on the peninsula, grew up there, climbing trees and skipping rocks across rivers, and has learned to love the forests, the rivers, the soil, and these kind of deep roots have made him a person who is essentially literally saving the world. When you look at, culture farming is what I believe the Black Rose Nation calls it. When you look at the way we are all destroying the planet and destroying each other, Joel is one of those people that is out there saving it, and his story is inspiring, uplifting. Thandaway has written he's also written a beautiful poem for the issue, and obviously Gary Weeks, my fellow British friend, has taken gorgeous, sumptuous photographs of Thandaway and Joel, actually at the property of Freeman Patterson at Champers Bluff on the Kingston Peninsula. There is a piece that I wrote about the Sea Dogs taking on the capital city. That's right, for the first time, Canadian Hockey League is coming to Fredericton's Aiken Centre as the St. John Sea Dogs launch the Capital City Series. This is a very, very exciting development. Lots of exciting things happening at the Sea Dogs right now. All the essential events you need to know of things that are coming up. Jack Frost Winterland in PEI. Stephen Page is coming to St. John's, Newfoundland. Matt Anderson on the road. Rivers Reviews. My son River has done his seasonal book reviews, including our favourite, The Little Ghost Quilt Winter Surprise by the amazing Riel Nason, one of the most beloved children's authors anywhere in the world, proudly living here in Quispamsis. I have reviewed Andrew McLean's new book, new backyard history book. It's great to chat with you last week, Andrew. Thank you for that. Reviews of Susan White and Margie and Mary Janet McDonald's cookbook. And I'll quickly whiz through. Story on Atlantic Books today. Kelly Lawson, great pictures and story on Christy Roach, who is a golfer here in New Brunswick. I have reviewed the Audi SQ5, which I basically test drove while on the most mammoth road trip. This was that week when I was doing St. John, Charlottetown, Campbellton, Quebec, you name it. I was all over doing all the two debaters recordings for everyone. Oh, but I thank you for all the messages that you all sent me about the debaters. Last 3, I think I had things on CBC 3 weeks in a row. Debates a few weeks ago, then my CBC Laugh Out Loud special, and then last week was the debate, St. John versus St. John's debate is aired on Friday. Thank you for all the messages about that. Hope you enjoyed it. Massive hats off to my friend and the hilarious comedian Peter White, who somehow managed to make a room full of 850 St. Johners cheer in favour of St. John's over St. John. Impressive work. That is always a marvel when you're working with a comedian at that level. And if you do get a chance to go and see Peter White live, please do so. We also have a feature in the new issue on Vicky Hogarth, who is the Queen of Charlotte County, as many of you know, the star, host, legend, hero behind CHCO, but also crucially has saved the St. Croix Courier, the newspaper, which, as many of you know, saving a newspaper from extinction is so much bigger than just a newspaper. Because many of you know this, and you might know this from the debaters debate I did at the Neptune in Halifax a couple of years ago with the amazing Heidi Brander, whose father, Don Brander, actually founded the Chronicle Herald. God rest his soul. He passed actually last year. She didn't tell me that he was the founder of the newspaper before we did the debate. But one of the things that came to that you may know, which came to light on that episode, is that when local newspapers die, the fabric that holds a community together begins to fray. We lose trained journalists who hold power to account, attending council meetings, asking difficult questions that keep our democracy healthy. Without that scrutiny, waste and corruption rise, civic engagement declines because people no longer feel connected to what's happening around them, and in the vacuum, misinformation and polarization rush in, replacing community understanding with noise. Vicky's work is a reminder that a local newspaper is not only a source of news, it is a safeguard for the health, identity, and future of a community. She is a hero, and I interviewed her for the new issue of the magazine. And while we are on that, I will say, please follow Vicky, please support, please buy the St. Croix Courier if you can, and please also subscribe to the Mountain Edit if you can. I would be remiss to say, the more, as you see all the divisive poison online that is being peddled by, the most poisonous thing I think most of us have seen, other than obviously mass shootings in the past week, was the president's response to the tragic murders of Rob Reiner and his wife. I mean, we all knew when the right pretended to be so offended by anyone that dared to quote things that Charlie Kirk had actually said. We all knew that was it was faux outrage. But to see, and let's face it, when Charlie Kirk was wrongly and tragically assassinated, all people were doing was quoting things that the man had proudly said himself about other shootings. Trump's response to, and I know I tried to not mention him on this, like it does get increasingly difficult because it permeates everything that we see here and do, everything that we try and teach our children. I mean, it's the world has never felt more awful than it does this week. And then when the leader of the free world responds in that way, it makes you question everything, and unfortunately, it makes everyone lose all faith, hope in the systems that we have in place to govern us and roll us. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that. But all I will say is that stop spending money on Meta is what I'm trying to say. I cannot believe every single. It's interesting. I'm sure you all noticed there was a meme going around about the fact that there's only certain countries where the news is banned on Facebook. And it's Canada, China, North Korea, something like that. And then people are pointing out, no, it's not banned in Canada. It's that the Canadian government want Meta to pay for the news articles to be shared. But the irony of that is, of course, that newspapers need for news and magazines, we need our things to be shared on social because that's where everyone is, unfortunately. But meanwhile, the Canadian government, who has screwed over everyone who wants to share news stories on social, they are spending money on Meta. They don't spend with the Canadian publications, they spend it with so it's all a hypocrisy. Anyway, we also have a massive feature on Fight League Atlantic, which is Atlantic Canada's UFC. A really brilliant story by Jeremy Hull. An incredible interview with everyone involved, including my friend Derek Smith, who I can't wait for Fight League Atlantic, which I'm finally going to get to one on the 7th of February, which is taking place in Moncton at the Coliseum. Again, don't spend your money on the Trump supporting organizations. Spend your money on the local ones. The incredible story of Alexandra Hayward, an incredible Paralympian and bronze medalist. Big interview that I did with my friend Nancy Regan about her new show. Big feature on the Mind Master that is Jason Cyrus. I know you're a friend of mine. Heather McLean Reed has written an incredible story about the First City School of Dance's annual adult dance conference. I mean, there is such, and there's an extract on a book about the real Anne of Green Gables, or rather how Lucy Maud Montgomery discovered Anne of Green Gables. Incidentally, I believe I'm right in saying is it Jane Austen's birthday today, or is it 150 years? Let me check my thingamy. Yes, December 16th, today, the day I'm recording this, it's the 250th birthday of Jane Austen. Many of you know I'm a huge Austen obsessive. Well, I'm a Marianne from Sense and Sensibility obsessive. It's how my friendship with Kate Winslet began, was our shared love of Marianne, the character who she, of course, famously played. So happy 250th birthday, Jane Austen. I'm reading the book right now of Jeremy King, who is the restaurateur in London, who founded Le Caprice, the Ivy, the Wolseley, all of the great era-defining restaurants. And Le Caprice was and is my favorite restaurant. It's now been renamed Arlington. So many stories there, so many happy memories there. Was Hugh Laurie was in there last time I was in there. What was my point? My point was, it was interesting. I must have seen Jeremy King once a week for like a decade in London, arriving at his restaurants, being greeted by him, an absolute hero and master of a very interesting book about the service industry and the way in which you can create experiences and create celebrations, create joy. Basically, and again, that's my number one fascination and interest and not purpose in life, but my aspiration in life is to try and bring joy where possible, convey joy, feel joy. We all want to feel joy, and I just want more people to. So I'm interested in the craftsmanship of all performance art and indeed service industry, where your aim is to bring joy. Anyway, what's interesting is I'm reading his book. I had no idea that he went to school at Christ's Hospital. He was born in Somerset, which is where my parents live, and he went to school at the same school as my dad, Christ's Hospital, which is a school for basically for people who couldn't afford education. The kids were sent there. So my father and his brother went there after their father fled. And they would wear the school. Basically, you had to wear this uniform, which is like a full-length silver buttons, blue coat, knee breeches, and mustard yellow stockings. It's basically a dress. The boys had to wear a dress. It was the world's first trans school. Great. Anyway, so I'm loving that book. What else? I had a show on Thursday night at Long Bay, which I was very excited about. I have another one this Thursday, and I have one tonight in Hampton. Those are my only remaining public ticketed shows this year. They The show, I mean, as I've said before, the shows at Long Bay can be a tough room to play. The stage is very high. People are very spread out. It's one of the reasons I like it for testing new material. But I will say, we got there in the end. I think I found the energy I found it quite hard to get everyone going. I don't know what was going wrong. And then I was inside my own head thinking, have they heard these jokes before? Is that why? But then why would they come to a show? I mean, a lot of people, I think, had actually come to the show multiple times this year, which is very lovely, but also makes it tricky. I had new joke ideas to test. I'm just reading through some of these joke ideas that I had. What's worse than having ants in your pants? Your uncle. Is that funny? Sounds a bit like something someone else would do. I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She looked surprised. Has that been done before? Why did Adele cross the road? Because she wanted to say hello from the other side. I have got a ton of jokes about Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau, which I think obviously needless to say have a very time have a very here we go. If they do a duet, it'll be called Wrecking Two Careers at Once. Dating Trudeau would be great for Katy Perry's career. For once, she gets to be the one who leaves before the ratings collapse. She likes a man who can take control. Trudeau's the only guy that could make even Orlando Bloom look dominant. Katy Perry once asked, do you ever feel like a plastic bag? Trudeau's like, honey, I banned those. I'm not laughing. You're not laughing. Grocery prices have got so bad that even Air Canada are saying you've got to stop fucking over Canadians. Katy Perry said she kissed a girl and she liked it. Trudeau said he bought a pipeline and, well, nobody liked it. Trudeau and Katy Perry finally a relationship where both people are used to getting booed on stage. That's not very nice, is it? We will see. I'm still workshopping all of this stuff. I received a very funny letter the other day. Do I have the letter here somewhere? Anyway, so did anyone watch that new Christmas movie on Amazon, Oh What Fun, with Michelle Pfeiffer? A great premise, i.e. the premise is how unappreciated mums are at Christmas time, and indeed the rest of the year. There's a great moment at the beginning, actually, where it really great moment where they have all the videos on a video shelf of all the Christmas movies, even though one of them is Planes, Trains and Automobiles, which is not a Christmas movie, it's actually a Thanksgiving movie, but all the videos keep coming out, VHS videos, and it's weird because they're all literally VHS videos that I have, so it's look like my shelf. But a great premise, completely wasted. Michelle Pfeiffer, and it was weird. These cheap movies that the Amazons and the Netflix make, where the lighting is so bad and it's so unflattering on the people's faces. I imagine the entire cast, and it's got an incredible cast. Chloe Moretz, what's the name? I've forgotten that name. Michelle Pfeiffer, anyway. Even Longoria's in it. Now, Jay Kelly's. I don't watch George Clooney's Jay Kelly. I cannot figure out. There was a 5-star review for this in the Telegraph newspaper in England, saying it was an absolute, complete and utter masterpiece. And there was a 1-star review in The Guardian saying it was an absolute terrible, categoric disaster, self-indulgent nonsense waffle. And I don't know which one of those is right, to be honest. It's possibly both. It's that weird. I do hate these movies that are and I will say, to be fair, it's written by Emily Mortimer, who I love. And I will say, Emily Mortimer, amazing actress, wonderful person. She was actually the very first person I ever interviewed face to face, I think, or very first famous person I interviewed face to face for GQ after working there. And it opened so many doors because she gave such a good interview. We sat in a restaurant in Notting Hill somewhere, I believe, had drinks. This would be over 20 years ago now. And she gave such a brilliantly, hilariously filthy, entertaining interview that my editor immediately, even though I was new and inexperienced, commissioned me to interview Rachel Weisz for a cover story in Montreal. So thank you, Emily Mortimer. You're amazing. However, you did script this film, which I'm not too sure about. I mean, it's very patronizing and egotistical. Obviously, it's George Clooney playing a movie star. It's one of these, the billionaires trying to convince us scum that their lives aren't all that great. And I thought, I must admit that Adam Sandler's in it. He's very good in it, understated, but it's essentially following an actor who is essentially George Clooney, but he's called Jay Kelly. And unlike George Clooney, there is a family, and he's basically lost his whole family because he spent his entire life, being a movie star, and all he really wants is his family back. And at the end, this isn't spoiling it, he sits at some award ceremony that he can't convince any of his family to come to, and watches a montage of his films, which are, you guessed it, George Clooney films, and a tear runs down his cheek. And it got a 15-minute standing ovation from those wankers at the Venice Film Festival. And it's so self-indulgent. It's so, it's making, it's kind of saying, on the one hand, what they do is so important. On the other hand, it's saying that, hey, look, none of you need to worry about this because look how much we'll struggle. We got it really hard. We devoted our lives to entertaining you all. Anyway, I mean, I hate all that crap. Is anyone else, speaking of the Facebook, is anyone else finding, I am noticing, and this is a bigger subject, so I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, so please message me. I am hearing and seeing a lot of racism in Canada that reminds me of Britain in the 1980s in the worst possible way. I'm talking about this whole kind of Sing Hortons thing, and I see it on TikTok, I see it on my kids' TikTok feeds, these incredibly racist Canadians used to embrace and encourage and endorse and adore and be proud of immigration to this country. And for some reason, because someone taking your Tim Hortons order might have an accent, it has brought out what I personally consider to be disgusting racism that can lead to awful violence. That's what happened in the 80s. That's where that is the beginning, to my mind, of where atrocities occur. Is that kind of thinking? It starts off. This is how Trump got in. I don't know what's going on, but tell me if you're seeing. And I mean, it could just be my feed. I don't know why. And maybe because I talk about how. The more I talk about it, then the more Zuckerberg sees that. When he goes, I'll give you more of that. I'll give you more of that evil racism and transphobia on your feed, which is funded by your government, even though you can't paste actual news story. I mean, tell me if you're seeing it as well. I'm seeing it. Here's the deal: if you've got if this country can benefit from and this idea, I don't know, I've never bought in this idea that like Canadian jobs are being taken. Really? Are they really? Because everyone I know that has a big business or needs stuff struggles to find Canadians and has to bring people in. But tell me what you think. I'm open to your conversations. It's a two-way street. If you don't want me using your name, tell me what your thoughts are. I mean, I know that England's a tiny little island. And the thing the racists always say is it's I mean, and it's all noticing how because of this I'm seeing more young people becoming right wing, and I have a theory, but I mean I don't know why this is. It could be the brainwashing of the Musk and the people behind whoever it was that got Trump, but all this stuff. But is it a rebellion thing? Is it because our generation, and for the most part, we have all been very liberal? And I guess I don't mean, when I say left, I mean, there are people, of course, who are right-wing, maybe financially right-wing and not massive racists or homophobes and such like. So I'm aware of that distinction, of course. But this whole Charlie Kirk supporting racist stuff that I'm seeing pop up on TikTok with young people, is it because our generation, and I mean Generation X and Boomers and even millennials to an extent, because we have all been so open-minded, and by that I mean that's left and right, open-minded in that like we generally, our generations are anti-racist, anti-homophobia. We are inclusive. We are supportive of trans rights. the younger generation now looking for, and we're open about, not open about, but we're liberal about drug use. Of course, drugs are legalized, so we're open-minded about these things. Are the younger generation seeing and hearing that and going, well, what the fuck are we going to rebel against? If you're, because I used to piss off my parents by, I don't know, having, I don't want to say my parents, that's not fair to them, but older generations, we were able to rebel by being anti-racist and by being pro-gay marriage. Like we didn't do it to rebel, but because we did it because it was the right thing to do. But it was a form of rebellion, and we felt that there was a conflict. And are people that desperate for conflict now? I know this isn't very funny for a comedy podcast at Christmas time, but the world doesn't feel very funny now. And this is all the stuff that's going through my mind when I wake up at 3 in the morning. Tell me what you think. I'm wondering that. Are the younger generation going to rebel against us and go all super right wing and all become like followers of Charlie Kirk? And is how that his popularity rose because of that. And all I can say is I bloody well hope not. I received a very, very, very funny email that I would like to read to you. Hey James, we've met a couple of times, most recently at the YMCA locker room where we chatted about the St. Andrew's Sex Club. I want to share a story that fits with your routine of being, well, he's put celebrity. I wouldn't have said I'm not. I guess a routine of being recognizable in a small town, maybe. My friend, he says, I want to share a story with you that fits with your routine of being a person in a small town where people know where you live. My friend, brackets, the person's name, is not a James Mullinger fan. And that, of course, always makes, I'm always like, here we go. Typical. What am I going to... Anyway, this is very funny. So listen up. He is not a James Mullinger fan, although he's never met you nor seen one of your shows. And occasionally I get messages like this, and people go, I met someone today and they said you're a crackhead. They said you this. They said you... I'm like, I'm aware that dicks say dickish things. I don't need to know. That is a message for everyone. A message for everyone out there. If you are one of those people that says to your friends or to people you don't know, or you share with people, oh, did you know so-and-so said this about you? You're the problem. Anyway, that's not what this is. I'm just saying that I do occasionally get messages like that, but this is not. This is very funny. My friend is not a James Mullinger fan, although he's never met you nor seen one of your shows. When your name comes up, he says, that bastard, James Mullinger. Are you aware that there is a date code on the price tags at Winners and Marshalls? This tells the staff how long the item has been in the store. When it gets old, the price gets marked down and put on the clearance rack. My friend is cheap and Scottish and saw 2 bottles of his favourite cologne at Winners, but felt the price was still too high, so he moved the bottles to the back of the shelf, hoping they wouldn't be seen and would get marked down in price. 2 weeks later, he went back and both bottles were still there at the same price, so he moved them to the back of the shelf again. Tight bastard indeed. 2 weeks later, he went back to Winners and both bottles of cologne were gone. I guess the price wasn't too high. Several days later, it was Christmas Eve, and Mike and his family attend the Christmas Eve church service at a small church in Rothesay, which I now know to be obviously St. Paul's, because that's where I go. As luck would have it, they are sitting behind you and your family. After a couple of hymns and prayers, Mike caught a whiff of a familiar scent, and he's sitting directly behind you. He says to his wife, that bastard James Mullinger, he bought all my cologne. I was thinking this doesn't sound right. I don't recall buying cologne at Winners. I then asked this kind gentleman emailed me to tell me what the cologne is. He went away to find out. He came back and said it was Terre de Hermes, to which I realised is indeed the cologne I use, and I did find it in Winners, and he's absolutely right. And I'm sorry. So, but please tell your friend to reach out to me, and I'll make it up to him. He can come around here for a squirt sometime. There you go. You don't get invites like that every day. Come to my house for a squirt. Okay, I'm going to go now. Thank you all very, very much indeed for listening. I have to shoot. I did have more to get through, which I will get through on the next episode, which will be the Christmas Eve special episode. We have tons more to cover. I have to go because my wife's phoning, and I need to get to Costco to change the bloody bald tyres on my car to winter tyres, finally. So before I leave, finally, I'm not going to be slipping and sliding around around everywhere I go. Also, one of the tyres keeps deflating. I get them to fill it up every... Did you ever get that with the tyres deflating and you've got a week to go to change the tyres? Think I'm just going to keep refilling it and it keeps going down? No, just me. Okay, just remember this episode was proudly supported by my friends at St John Airport and Pascan Aviation, reconnecting the region. Book your Pascan Aviation flights to and from St John Airport, Halifax, Montreal, and many other connecting destinations. And also never forget that this episode is proudly supported by one of Canada's most successful global food brands, one of the most respected chocolate companies in the world. And I implore you, as soon as humanly possible, to try out the new sea salted caramels and peanut butter caramel clusters. I'm going to go. It's a miracle. We did this in an hour. That never happens, or rarely. Anyway, thanks very much. I'm James Manager. You've been a joy. God bless you, my friends. Love you. See you on Christmas Eve.
Manager's Weekly Ramble.